Hello everyone, this is Tapasya and welcome back to our channel #literature with us. In this series of beginners of English literature, we are going to start with history of Indian English literature today. In this video, we are going to learn that how English as a language has been arised in India and how literature has been created a remarkable mark in the Indian literature. If you see, the history of English literature originally started with the poets and writers like Henry Derozio. The name is already mentioned here on the whiteboard. That is Henry Derozio. Then comes Rabindranath Tagore and of course Sri Aurobindo. While most of the Indian writers continued to write their native languages, these authors adopted English and they marked a beginning to what we can now call the history of Indian English literature. We are going to discuss few key features through which it will be very simple what exactly Indian English literature means and what exactly the history of this literature. So the history of Indian English literature gets a bit complicated, especially during the period which marked the freedom struggle for independence and the period following independence. Now, English being the language of colonizers, the Indian writers who adopted English were highly criticized for their choices. If you also see, during these conflicts, many writers came forth to justify the use of English. One such writer was Sujit Mukherjee, who said that English acts as a link language. So what does Sujit Mukherjee says? He had used a phrase called link language. Please do remember it. So it's link language in Indian subcontinents. Now, if you see what he meant by this particular link language was that India is a linguistically diverse land. Not many people understand the regional languages, of course. Like Hindi was not understood by the majority of people from the southern and northeast part of India. So, in such a scenario, a language was needed which could connect the masses, and English became that language. So, as a result, English, or you could say Indian English literature, started gaining the prominence that it has today. If you see writers like R.K. Narayan and Salman Rushdie, even these people brought out their own versions of English by incorporating certain Indian words into the otherwise English text. Later, this came to be known as chutneyfication, and this particular word is being coined by Salman Rushdie. And this is how Indian writers made a foreign language into their own. So, with time, if you see, Indian English literature became the lens through which the outside world looked at India. They became carriers of collective history. For instance, in Malgudi Days, written by R.K. Narayan, it points out the picture of Indian rural community with all their beliefs and traditions. Now, writers like Salman Rushdie and Khushwant Singh tried to capture the horror of partition in their writings. Now, in a sense, with time, Indian English writings became a common ground on which various histories were inscribed, and these process continued even today. One other significant part of history of English literature in India is the period when writers started translating their works. For example, if you see Rabindranath Tagore, he decided to translate Gitanjali, which was initially written in Bengali, which was later translated into English. And this translation process leads to the creation of a separate branch called Indian English writing, or you could say Indian writing in translation. Now, when we look at the contemporary India or contemporary Indian English fictions, like those of the authors of Arundhati Roy, Arvind Adiga, to name a few, we realize that Indian writings in English still remains as a cultural artifact that tells compelling stories about various cultures of India. And it still is a medium through which we could get a better understanding of the cultures and beliefs of the people of India. Uh, Now, if you go through these history of English literature, of course, there is a lot, and these writings are also even good in Indian English literature. Um, we try to put up a lot of posts on our community post of YouTube. You can go and please check it out. We put up a polls, and I hope you must have understood the Indian English writing very thoroughly, or maybe at least in brief. Of course, there are a lot of details in Indian English writings. To know more about the details of these courses, you can also join our audio lecture courses that we run on Google Classroom. Thank you so much for listening this video.